And I'm David. And we're talking about Survivor, Edge of Extinction in matching colors.
Oh yeah, we are very matchy-matchy today.
Yeah. Not intentional.
Welcome.
Yeah. So we start out on Extinction again, and we finally get to see that Keith has decided to get in the boat. He talked to God, and God said go on the boat.
Jesus took the wheel.
Yes. So Reem is, I think, thrilled to see another person.
Oh, I imagine. She's like, wait, what? A light, a person.
Right.
Yes.
She's not even mad at him, like he apologizes, and she's like, don't apologize, man. Like, we're both on Extinction now.
Yeah. She's like, welcome. It's awful here.
Right. He's like, I want to get some sleep. She's like, ha! He's like, I can't.
Laughs at everything.
Yeah. He's like, I can't wait to get food. Yeah, sure, Keith.
But they do get a little message.
Yes.
With a map.
Yeah.
And it leads them to these stairs. It's pretty far.
Yeah.
And they find a little bit of rice.
A little bit, like.
And supposedly they have to do this every day.
Every day, yeah.
To get rice.
Like,
they have to hike.
And I'm just thinking, like, is it even worth the number of calories
Right.
that you expend climbing all these stairs every day to get a little bit of rice? Like, ooh, these people are
That's
for it.
Right.
And I don't know if Reem's made for it.
Yeah, no, Reem doesn't seem like she can handle all of this.
Yeah.
Now, granted, she's been sitting there without food for a few days.
Right.
I'd barely be able to move,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
And I'm sure having even the presence of another person
Yes.
really helps you a lot.
Right.
So who knows what we're gonna see.
And her
but-
take, of course, we've got the mom and the youngest.
Yeah,
And
right.
she, right off the bat, it's like, oh, I gotta take care of him
I
now.
can't leave him now, yeah. Because if she raises the flag, she leaves Keith by himself.
Right.
So that's where we are in Extinction, and then we go right into the reward challenge, which
Yes.
is either comfort or chickens.
Yes.
And this is where Wendy hurts her foot.
Right. Well, for the first time ever,
Yeah.
we see Manu win
Doing well.
a challenge.
Yeah, and it's really thanks to Chris.
It is. Now, this was interesting because we see Joe starting off on comma.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is Chris not starting off
in this
for
like
Manu?
heavy
'Cause,
wheelbarrow challenge.
they're struggling, they're falling behind because like David's trying to push
Yeah,
this. It's like, wait, why is what's happening? So obviously comma's in the lead like usual.
Yeah.
Because Joe is just beasting this.
Yes.
But then we get to the last part and that's when Chris steps up
Right.
and then he beasts that part.
Yeah.
And it was
And
like,
they
oh,
win.
that was actually the smart decision.
Yes.
Comma used their big gun early and
Right.
it did not pay off in
Did
the end.
not. Yes. So they decide to choose the chickens, which I think most tribes probably
would.
over pillows. And they go back to the camp, and Wendy is a
And this
wreck.
is when Wendy realizes, I'm sure the adrenaline, she
Yes.
powered through, didn't
Yeah.
realize she had hurt herself, but now that she's back at camp,
It's bad.
It's bad.
like
It doesn't look
bruised
good.
and purple and just not great.
and who knows, yeah.
But she is not feeling murdering a chicken.
I know we've seen it before.
We've seen it.
Good old Ty.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know how
He
Ty
legitimately saved
the
the
chicken the
chicken.
entire season.
Now, I have to tell you, neither Sarah nor I eat meat.
We are vegetarians.
And we can tell you from experience that there's few things that meat eaters hate more than a vegetarian. Okay, you're not making any friends by being a vegetarian. But what's maybe worse is Wendy, who eats meat in real life and is telling these people that she doesn't want them to kill the chickens and
Look,
eat them.
it's tough. It is tough. We both feel like if we were there, we'd just have to excuse ourselves.
Right.
Because you can't convince meat eaters to
can't.
not kill a chicken.
People are starving.
Yeah.
So it's do your thing.
I can't
I'll
be
just
there
like
for
be
it.
over here.
Right.
But I'm not going to stop you
No.
from eating this chicken because I get it. You're hungry.
Yeah. The fact that Ty could ever do that is amazing. But Wendy's not succeeding like Ty did.
People are pissed.
They're not
right?
happy with
yeah,
it.
Yeah. And then we see a little bit on the other tribe now, and we are seeing, of course, that Joe and Aubrey are still in danger, the returners, and Aurora is a little bit in danger because she's associating with them.
Yeah, it's a little trio of those.
Then Victoria, or Pippi Longstocking, as
Pippi.
Sarah calls her, she has a major foot in mouth moment when she's talking strategy
Look around.
about Joe right in front of Joe.
Joe was just like, wait, what am I?
Yeah.
What was that? No, I don't know if Joe was like legitimately like
There the
just-
whole time, or if he had just...
if he was playing it off or if he
Right.
was just like, oh wait, what?
Right.
What was that now?
Yeah.
I don't know because he did play it off so well.
Yeah, right.
And they just, you know, tried to have a conversation. She kind of was like, it does seem like y'all work together.
Right.
Ugh.
But then Joe, like, has a weird confessional where he's like, I can't get a read on Victoria and Ron. They're kind of being shady and not telling me how they feel. I'm like, that's your read. You can't trust them.
That's the read. They're telling you.
Yeah.
They don't want to work with you.
But the best part of this tribe was the hidden immunity idol montage with Aubrey. She is sprinting through the forest.
Once again, she gets a montage of all of her games.
She's ripping the jungle to shreds, trying to find this immunity idol because it's the one thing she hasn't accomplished.
She's done a lot in her 3 times at Survivor, except win and find an immunity idol.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Of course, at this point, I'm like, find it, find it,
Please
find it.
Right.
And she does.
And the strings start emotion, like sweeping music, right? She's already getting teary as she's just unfolding it.
She's like, please, please.
Please be an idol. Please.
Oh, my
She's
gosh.
so happy. She's like, tears all over her face in the testimonial. She's just so happy that she's like, check this off her list.
Really an emotional moment for her. But hey, Aubrey, way to go. First off, you are going to need that, but also, yay for finding it.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we see a little bit more of like Wendy's, you know, sort of, they're just not having it with Wendy at that tribe before we go to the immunity challenge.
Right. So, immunity.
Yes.
Well,
now,
I felt like Manu had this invigorated, we just won something.
Right, momentum or something. We do see that Wendy is like bandaged up and they've let her bring these toe shoes kind of things.
It looked like she had a good professional wrap, so I assumed she saw a medic.
And she was in the water and not holding up the team. Like she was pulling her weight in this swimming challenge. I'm thinking,
I have to assume it's not broken.
Yeah, right.
They didn't tell us, but I'm assuming it was medically looked at and not broken, and so she's powering through.
Right.
Is what it seemed like.
And really doing her part.
Yeah.
And
because they are ahead most of this challenge.
Yes. But then the puzzle comes and they can't figure out the spokes on this wheel that they're supposed to build.
Yeah.
And Aubrey is like a beast, it looks like, on this puzzle on Kama, and they spin that wheel and they win their 3rd immunity in a row.
So it was David, Wentworth, and Lauren on the Manu side, and they just couldn't compete and failed at the end there.
Yep.
So
huge win for Kama.
Huge win for Kama, but Manu is back at Tribal for the 3rd time in a row.
Yes. So now there's some people on the tribe who are not pleased with Wendy, right? Because of this whole chicken business. And they've kind of been targeting her loosely for a while now.
She's been the backup plan quite a bit.
But not David. He's like, I gotta trust my spidey sense, my survivor spidey sense is telling me.
He heard it.
Wentworth's gotta go.
Wentworth's gotta go.
Yeah, and he's right.
He's gonna lead the charge on that. Well, you know, as much as we love Wentworth, we're like, yes, David.
She's a threat.
That's smart. That's genius of you.
Right.
You should probably do that. Well, he and Rick obviously are the duo, right? It's easy to get Wendy, so you have 3.
Yeah, and we do see them go to Wendy because there's this whole debacle with the flint.
Whatever.
They're trying to confront her to steal the flint, but their real purpose of talking to her is to get her on board to vote out Wentworth.
Right. And to David, it sounds really easy. Everybody's so focused on Wendy.
Yeah.
We're going to slip in with a little Wentworth blindside.
Right.
And she's gone.
Yeah.
Okay, so David talks to Chris. And Chris...
He's on board. He says,
he's totally on board.
I could get on Wentworth, but I just got to talk to my boy War Dog.
And now David, I thought, handled this really well. This is why David is dangerous. It's because he can kind of coolly, casually talk to you and say things like, we don't need War Dog's vote.
Right.
I think he's kind of close to Kelly. It's probably dangerous to talk to him.
Right.
You know, he laid it out in a very non-threatening way. Where you don't feel forced. But Chris is like, dude, I'm a loyal person.
Right.
And I feel connected to War Dog. He didn't want to keep him out of the loop. And he did a great job of just casually talking to War Dog. He didn't say, like, there's a plan.
Right. No, I mean, he kind of posited it in this way where War Dog was like, well, look, if there's another plan, I could do what you want to do. Like, I'm not dead set on Wendy, whatever. But that was maybe the biggest mistake Chris made.
Well, being that it was Wentworth.
Yeah.
Here's where we find out the War Dog feels a little more aligned with Kelly
than he does with
Chris.
Yes.
Which is bad news for Chris.
So now War Dog goes to Wentworth, tells her that, you know, her name is being thrown around and she's the target.
Yes, by Chris.
Right.
And he's like, I think Chris has to go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So now they're talking about what votes they need to get Chris, right?
Yeah.
Because War Dog, Kelly, and Lauren
Sure.
could be votes for Chris, but they've got to get Rick, right?
They think Rick would be their fourth.
Yeah, right.
Well, now that's a good information because obviously they don't see how close Rick and David are. So War Dog is talking to Rick about how Chris needs to go. Well, I think that this is great because Rick is like the middle guy.
Yes.
So he can talk to David. Like he has all the information now. I think this is great.
100% for his game, yeah.
Yeah.
But then he goes and talks, it's this whole game of telephone, right? War Dog talks to Rick, Rick talks to David, and I just don't see, I mean, initially I was like, maybe they're gonna flip, but Sarah said, how could David not go forward with this plan to get Wentworth out?
Right, because I'm thinking, great, Rick now has all the information. Rick did a great job talking to War Dog of like, oh, okay, cool, I don't want to leave David out of the loop, so I'm going to talk to him. So it was never like, ooh, a shady behind your back, David's going to know.
Right.
So then David was able to like openly say to Kelly, like, I've been looped into the plan. Like everyone can kind of still pretend like they're on the same page, but Rick and David don't have to alter their plan at all. I'm thinking they just then take the next step to Chris. We're just going to keep going in a circle here of this game of telephone and be like, well, you did talk to War Dog. Guess what? War Dog wants you out now. And then Chris is going to clearly be like, well, I don't want to be voted out. I got to vote for Kelly, right? That's where my head was.
Right. Then we go to Tribal.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're at Tribal, and, you know, people are starting to get into their cryptic speech.
Yes.
And Wentworth's eyes are darting.
Right. It's David who sort of kicks off the crypticness of it, right? Because there's a lot of obvious talk about Wendy and the Flint's gone and the chickens and this and that. And then David says, you know, I think we have a real opportunity to get out a social threat.
Yeah, he said social threat.
And immediately Kelly's like,
what's that about?
Yeah.
I guess she doesn't think Chris is a social threat.
Yeah, right. And Jeff is like, Kelly, you're speechless. And she's like, I am just trying to process what was just said.
Yeah, and a few different people are saying different things, and she's just
she's looking at everybody, like eyes darting all over the place.
In my head, they have the votes, and they're gonna get Kelly out.
Yeah.
And she looked like she was feeling that as
100%, and I'm thinking that's probably a smart move.
Right, as much as we love her.
Yes.
That's a smart move.
Right.
So that's not what happened.
That's not. There were 2 votes for Kelly, who were probably Chris and Wendy, and
the rest.
Again, the rest for Chris. We're assuming. We, again, didn't get to see exactly how the votes fall.
But that's how they would have had to have fallen. And so that means Rick and David decided to
abandon this plan.
And go with the group to get Chris out.
Which is so strange because David and Rick could have voted with Chris and Wendy and gotten Wentworth out, but they decided to flip. I'm not exactly sure why.
I don't fully understand. David would have had to have felt like all eyes were going to be on him. He was going to be in trouble or taking the blame for getting Kelly out. And it wasn't going to work for him down the road. That's the only reason, because Chris is not a threat for him. He has felt that Chris has been an ally mostly. They've looped him in. They've tried to work with him. Obviously, he helps win any of the challenges.
Yeah, right. But I guess it was just that he told Chris we don't need to talk to War Dog, and then Chris talked to War Dog. And he must have thought, well, I can't trust him.
Yeah, he's not in my pocket.
You know, but I can trust War Dog because War Dog came to us.
In his pocket.
I think so,
but
too.
But War Dog just proved that he is super loyal to Kelly.
Yeah.
So I don't think that helps David.
Yeah. But again, like we've talked before about how David's kind of playing this under the radar game. So maybe it was just another, you know, step of like, I don't need to make a big move too early because then I put a target on myself.
Yeah, it would have somehow like revealed that he had something to do with it and he just wasn't ready to step out of the shadows.
And at this point, like he can easily save face with Kelly when they go back to camp. She's obviously suspicious of him, but he can say, look, I voted for Chris.
What are you talking about?
I voted with you.
Yeah, no, I was just talking Tribal, just, you know,
don't
for
even
the
worry
TV
about it.
show.
Yeah. I'm
sure.
Yeah, I told you not to worry, and
like
look,
that.
you're safe, you know?
So obviously we see Chris march on out, take that torch, and say, let's go.
Let's do this. And I have to imagine that Chris is going to be the one coming back from the edge of extinction.
We'll see who else gets voted out. But...
Right. If it's a physical challenge, he's got a huge leg up, especially over Reem and Keith.
Yeah.
Again, we'll see who else gets voted out.
Right. Well, we do see that next week, as we predicted, they're going to drop their buffs and mix it up because one team has just been defeated.
Yes, decimated.
They're going to go into 3 tribes.
Which I like.
And we see Wendy releases the chickens.
Yes, she frees the birds, and she's so pleased with herself. And I can't help but think it's not the worst move at this point.
No, you know what? Honestly, Wendy, live your best life out there.
Right.
You know, have some fun. Free those chickens. You do you, girl.
That's
because
right.
I don't think she's gonna win.
Right. But
so if you get to that point, just do your own thing.
do your thing. But the thing is too, like, she is isolating herself, and when you do that, people don't see you as a threat.
Yeah, it's true.
So she could make it for a lot more days now because nobody is really talking game with her.
Right.
I mean, they are, like, to get her as a number, but she's not calling any shots.
No.
Especially if you're making moves like that. Like, people are
her
going to
two
be mad.
allies went out first and second.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she will now have the opportunity, now that we're mixing things up, to
Yeah.
get new friends
True.
and make a new allies.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's tough when you're on the bottom with no one else. I'd be freeing those chickens too
Yeah,
if
why
I
not?
was like, what else do I have to lose?
right. At least I could say I saved the chicken.
Right? I think that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Look, if you're trying to win the game, I don't know, maybe not a good idea, but
I have to say, Wentworth made it out of another vote.
of course
And we
she
said
did.
last week that she keeps finding her way out of votes.
She is going to beat you all. She's gonna win. And you guys allowed it. So
Yeah, right. You let it happen.
What do you guys think of Kelly's game?
Yeah, and what do you think of Wendy's game?
Right? What do you think about this Edge of Extinction Island? Are we gonna see anything happen with that?
It's a deep tease for that thing, but let us know what you think and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.